Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Perspective. We'll be talking about the allegations that we've seen come from Bushra Bibi today and also the ramifications of the kind of politics at play yet again. We are looking at, of course, a protest on the 24th. What it means, we also saw businessmen today in the capital talk about the damaging effects of this kind of politics and this kind of agitation. We'll be talking about that. We'll be talking about the ramifications of dragging friendly countries into politics, where impacting foreign policy, and where does the buck really stop? As far as freedom of speech is concerned, as far as your right to protest is concerned, as far as your right to assemble are concerned, and then balancing that with the right to property, the government's right to impose their own writ, all of those and their balance and what it means, because now we've been watching this kind of politics at play for a while from one particular political party, among others. All of that today on Perspective. I have with me today Ali Rashid, who is the Sindh government spokesperson for PPP. Thank you for being with us today. We also have with us Muneeb Qadir, who is a legal expert. Thank you for joining us. And we have Daniyal Sheikh, who's a political analyst. Thank you for being with us today. And we have Fakhar Yousafzai, who's a senior journalist. Thank you for joining us today. Let me go to Muneeb and then we'll take it from there. Muneeb, we saw the allegations that came today. We've also seen allegations of different nature come from one particular political party, starting from the cipher. And then we've seen, different countries and the conspiracy theories, which have really been about one or another country being involved in one particular political leader's ouster. This has been done before. This is certainly not new in that sense. How do you look at the recent string of allegations?
This is what happens when you don't have a coherent narrative. Why? Because you are constantly lying when you are compulsive liars, and that is the kind of politics that PTI has mastered. I believe that the former First Lady's speech yesterday, namely Bushra Bibi, who's the wife of the PTI founder, the speech that she delivered yesterday, not only was it extremely irresponsible, because once again she is pointing fingers, very much like her husband and her husband's party members, towards other countries, towards foreign countries with which Pakistan has friendly relations. But also, the kind of tone, the sense of entitlement, where she said that, the PTI founder could have, sat back. He could have relaxed, watched television, been traveling around the world, but still he chose to stay in Pakistan for you people. So, she expects that we should all be thankful. We should all be thankful that Tosha Khana gifts were stolen away and Exchequer had been deprived of so much of the revenue that was due to it. She feels we need to be thankful that here was a man who is now 72 years old, who came into the world of politics for his own benefit, who came into the world of politics because he wanted it for himself. And we should be thankful for that. I mean, when you enter into the world of politics, you first of all need to set yourself aside. You cannot expect people to be rolling, a red carpet for you and be thankful to you for entering into politics. So this particular narrative that we should all be thankful, no, I don't believe that we should be. And then she also went on to say that people are talking about jihad. PTI members are talking about jihad. Well, we are not inciting anybody. We are not telling anybody. People want to come onto the streets and they want to fight against government themselves. This is what she claims. But this is how dog whistling works. This is what PTI has been doing. This is what culminated into 9th May. That they themselves encourage, with extremely inflammatory, insightful rhetoric, they encourage their followers to take to the streets. And then they say, oh, we never said this. We never asked them to do this. And then, they put forward people like Bushra Bibi, whom up until now claimed that she had nothing to do with politics, because this is what they do. They say, PTI members, that, oh, that is Bushra Bibi's own personal stance. It's got nothing to do with PTI as a party. They do that deliberately. They did that when Gandapur also spewed venom. The KP chief minister spewed venom 2 months ago during a rally, said the most derogatory of things about the Punjab chief minister, and later PTI said, "Oh, but that's not our stance." That's very convenient. So, in short, I think that it's disastrous. The speech which we got to hear yesterday, the allegations are absolutely ridiculous. But the interesting part is that when she claimed that her husband, the PTI founder, had walked barefoot in Medina. And that irked those people who did not want Sharia in Pakistan. While she was making those completely unfounded allegations, she went on to say that certain foreign countries asked the then army chief that where did you pick this prime minister up from? So she has implicitly accepted perhaps that her husband was not really elected but picked up. I mean, I don't quite understand. Does she mean to say that her husband came into power back in 2018 through undemocratic means? The plot
Fair enough.
thickens.
Let me come back to you. Um, Ali, if you heard what Muneeb is saying, I think he's very succinctly sort of summed it up as far as some of those allegations that have come from PTI chief's wife, and we'll talk more about that. But as far as the government's stance at this time is concerned, as far as the protest is concerned, what does the government say? Let's hear that from you.
I think the government is not interested in the fact that there should be a protest, especially in Islamabad. And I think there's some court order. They had gone to the court, PTI, and they haven't gotten permission to have the protest. So that's the government's stance. But generally speaking, I feel I agree with Mr. Muneeb that whatever he's saying, it makes sense. Somehow some other country is involved according to them. First it was America, now it's Saudi Arabia. And I think it is just to get the sentiment, the public sentiment, talking about giving the Islamic touch. Initially, first, the CM house, they spoke about jihad, al-jihad. But this is not the people talking about jihad on the roads. This is the slogans are being chanted in the Chief Minister house in KP. And after that, Bushra Bibi coming and talking about that Shariat, and he wanted to, they're going against the Shariat in Saudi, and they want to get rid of it. And now we've brought a leader who's talking about the Shariat. Where did you pick him? And I rightfully agree. What is she trying to implicate? That he was not.
Do you think the protest will go ahead?
I feel that a lot of people within the ranks of the PTI are not on the same page, especially after the statement of Bushra Bibi. And there are a lot of question marks because a lot of people were not expecting this, because I don't know where it came from. I mean, if you actually, as a political worker, ask me impartially to analyze the statement, I can't make anything out of it. I mean, what is she trying to achieve? What benefit will they get, if anything, internationally, if they were trying to reach out to the US or let's say any other country to garner sympathy or support that there's some human rights violations or the laws weren't implicated. By doing all this, the international countries, especially friendly countries, by saying these things, you're just you're just spoiling your relationship with them also. I don't think they'll interfere, but they'll definitely not interfere after these kind of statements. And there's more confusion within the ranks of PTI. Now,
I want to discuss whether, whatever is happening within the party, as far as a political party is concerned, the responsibility of a political party when, which represents at least a certain number of people, to come out with statements. But then again, I think it's interesting, Daniyal, that as far as the PTI itself is concerned, they've distanced themselves from the statements that have come. Isn't that also true?
It's very true, and it's it's not unprecedented. It's been happening in the past, and often, because we've often discussed that it's less of a political party, more of a cult. And more than that, like we were discussing about what's the agenda behind all this, or there is no agenda, or what are they going to achieve? They're going to achieve that agenda that they have, which is to destabilize Pakistan, to further so that Pakistan descends into complete chaos. They want complete diplomatic isolation. And like if you look at the past history, like even this protest, the only reason I think that they chose the protest was because of the high-powered delegation which was supposed to visit from Belarus. So whenever something like this is happening in Pakistan, and they see it as an opportunity to create some chaos, and it's nothing more than that. So it's part of the same agenda. And now the statement she gave on our brotherly Muslim country, throughout the respect that they were given as the First Lady and her husband, and like throughout our history, Saudi Arab has always stood with us in our difficult times. So it's nothing more than just.
But Daniyal, as far as PTI itself is concerned, in the fact that they've distanced themselves from this statement, yet she's also calling people out for the protest. She's also acting in the PTI founder's stead. How do you look at that dynamic? And we've also had statements come that say that she doesn't really have a designation in the party at this time, but yet she's also acting like the voice of the PTI founder. So how do you look at this? While he's not there, he's incarcerated.
Well, she definitely has a voice. In the past, we have seen her. She was involved in selecting the chief minister in Punjab, Usman Bozdar, and other key decisions were made, and there's a lot of controversy how she was doing that, and there's a lot of superstition, and she's been involved in a lot of such stuff. So she's always been very much involved, and her influence even before she got married to the founding chairman of this party. Even before that, her influence was very evident. Often we would hear he would go visit her, and even before this whole marriage issue came up.
But do you think that the statements themselves, are they, how meritorious are they? Let me go to Fakhar Sahib on this. Fakhar Sahib, because on the one hand she doesn't have an official delegation, but like I said, she's acting designation, and yet she's acting for the PTI founder, which is what she says. She's also telling people to come out and protest, and she's also giving out statements that she attributes to the founder of PTI. How do you think one has to look at this? Because this is after, we have to also see that we saw the cipher conspiracy unfold, we saw allegations which were earlier on made, we saw a whole document that was waived, and then it wasn't there in the field. So we don't, and this seems to be a sequel to that in some sense.
Actually, if we talk about the Bushra Bibi, the PTI workers or their leaders are not happy from her, actually, and they are not agree with her statement, especially the statement against the Saudi Arabia. All the people are trying to I think so. They are trying that Bushra Bibi. This is the personal statement of Bushra Bibi, but I think so. This is she's creating the problems for PTI or for the PTI workers or for the other people in PTI. I think so. And if we talk about her strategies, especially right now on the final call of 24 November, I think so. She is acting like a dictator, and she told to all the MPs that you should bring 5,000 people from your constituency and 10,000 from their MNA. One MP asked her that, Madam, if you are ordering us for that we should bring 5,000 people from our constituency, you should bring 2,000 people from the Pakpatan Sharif. I think so, and the people are asking her, and especially in KPK, all the MPs or MNAs, they are not. I think so. They are not interested in these type of statement of Bushra Bibi. She is creating the problems for the PTI, and I think so. I don't know that, but I think so. She's creating the problem for the founder of PTI, Imran Khan Sahib, as well.
Let me go to Muneeb. Muneeb, there is overall, we've been talking about this for a while. As far as the right to protest is concerned, then the right to assemble, all of those are, of course, rights that our constitution grants. But in the background is this whole balance which needs to be there, because the state has to impose its writ, and there has to be, the state has to function. How do you look at this as a lawyer, as far as balancing is concerned? And then for political parties, I think it's an important question that each political party and their narrative and their political needs, on the one hand, but on the other hand, are they not, isn't, patriotism or, your loyalty to your country policy and the fact that, you know, that has to override all considerations, where statements like this can impact your foreign policy, statements like this can impact your relationship with other countries, statements like this can have huge potential ramifications for your country, in your region also. So where does, you know, the buck stop, and how do you, you know, balance those things as a lawyer? How do you look at that?
So balancing and doing a balancing act is, you know, what is the most important thing. Whenever the executive, whenever the government, they come up with this plan to, for example, curb people's access to internet or suspending access to mobile network services, of course, it's a matter of concern. And I think that the guiding principle and the guiding factor, not just in our own legal system, but worldwide, is the principle of proportionality, that whatever aim you're trying to achieve. So, for example, the aim here is to stop miscreants from creating trouble. Just like, you know, one of our co-panelists, he mentioned that the Belarusian head of state is visiting Pakistan. Last time I remember when there was the Shanghai Cooperation, the SCO, being hosted in Pakistan, again, PTI people and members were creating trouble at that time. So yes, I understand that we have to make sure that our foreign relations are not jeopardized, and the kind of irresponsible statements which PTI founder has made, which his wife just made last night, you know, at times their fingers are pointed towards United States of America, at times their guns are pointed at Saudi Arabia. Of course, you know, whenever this so-called free speech borders on to either insightful speech or hate speech, that is exactly where the executive needs to step in and play its part. And as you mentioned, you know, the writ of the state needs to be filled. But at the same time, you know, people and the public, they need to be taken into confidence that why exactly are there, you know, mobile services being suspended? Why exactly are they being cut off from access to internet? That is very, very important and must be something non-negotiable. Even why? Because today a certain party is in power. Tomorrow, who knows? They might be in the opposition. So we need to make sure that the rule of law is the guiding force, proportionality is the guiding force. Having said that, also, I believe that political parties, in this case PTI, they need to take responsibility. They cannot delegate their party political narrative to certain individuals and then later retract and say, oh, but that wasn't us, that was just that one individual. I think that the kind of politics that PTI has been playing out, be that the kind of hooliganism we saw against Qazi Faizi Sahab in London, or our Defence Minister Khwaja Asif being threatened with knife attacks on London Underground, you know, tube station, that is very, very, very worrying. And when you look at those people who are behind it, they claim to be overseas Pakistanis, actually overseas PTI members, not even overseas Pakistanis. So that is very problematic. You can see cause and effect. You can see where the encouragement is directly coming from. And then use of religion card by Bushra Bibi, particularly in her speech yesterday, that is extremely symbolic of PTI's brand of politics. You know, igniting people's religious sentiments and playing with very sensitive emotions of people by and large. She keeps on saying that she was turning this and her husband was going to make this a Sharia compliant country as if it's not already one. You know, that is again problematic, the way that they play religion card. And then if she really was so keen on making Pakistan a Sharia compliant country, which I believe it already is, then why exactly was
The narrative itself is quite faulty. Let me come back to you. Ali, there's also, of course, as far as the court is concerned, Islamabad High Court has ordered the, you know, Interior Minister to form a committee to engage with the PTI. And, you know, we are talking about the protest in that background also. Do you think that they're going to be able to prevail on the party to sort of, you know, forego the protest? Of course, in the background are also, like you also mentioned, and, you know, there's been an ongoing discussion about this and a lot of being said about the people themselves, the party representatives themselves, the party members themselves not being able to get people, and, you know, they're themselves exhausted of trying to to accede to these kind of demands that are coming again and again, whether they're from the PTI founder or his family members, and that they have to get mass people so that they can get him out, and there doesn't seem to be any chance of that because the legal system is what it is at this time. I mean, it's working.
Yeah, well, you see, basically, I hope so. Your question, if I feel that there'll be a breakthrough and they'll call off the protest, well, I hope so, for their sake, for the country's sake, for everybody's sake, because it's useless. Nothing is going to come out of it. Even if it's a successful protest, nothing is going to come out of it. What are you trying to achieve? The kind of narrative you're building, the kind of statements you're giving, ki ji kafan ban ke we are coming. Why? Who are you going to kill? Are you coming to die? It's do or die. We will, is this a way to get somebody released from prison? There are your courts, the cases are in the court, which is going on. Then, there's a clear divide in the party. The sisters, Alima Khan and all, they're saying something else. The wife has just surfaced. She's saying something else. The party leadership who Imran Khan has empowered officially, which was Amin Gandapur and Umar Ayub, they're saying something else. And then you have other mid-tier leaders who are saying totally something else. Then you have Sher Marwat coming and giving a different spin that, had our performance, had we gone to the public with our KP's performance, nobody would even look at us, forget about,
performance. As far as KP's performance is concerned, I want to come to Daniyal here also. As far as KP's performance is concerned, we know that, there's a serious security issue within KP. We are looking at, people actually losing their lives, and yet the KP government and their involvement in these kind of protests, their involvement in trying to get people here, do you think that they're serious about the business of governance?
Obviously not. When the chief executive every few weeks he has to
amass people.
Exactly, and then he has to plan new ways to besiege the capital. So obviously he cannot focus on any long-term policies. But like I discussed in your earlier program, as far as like I'm saying, everyone's saying there's what agenda. The agenda is very clear. It's to destabilize Pakistan somehow, and the chief minister, to keep his position or to stay in power, he has to somehow have the blessings of the founding father, and for that the biggest ruckus that he creates, the more secure his position is going to be. And as far as the Islamabad High Court ruling we were discussing, you were discussing, they also asked the Minister Interior to brief PTI about that delegation that I was talking about, which are visiting from Belarus, because every time they announce a protest, it has to be backed by something of this sort, which could potentially benefit Pakistan. So it's very obvious, their agenda is very obvious. As far as the performance in KPK is concerned, and as far as the current situation of KPK is concerned, we from the news I hear that even the hometown of the chief minister himself, it's being controlled by the militants at the moment. He himself cannot even go to his village. So considering that, they should declare an emergency and they should focus on...
That's, Fakhar Sahab, what Daniyal is saying, I think is right on point, because the incident itself that happened is huge in Parachanad yesterday. And, keeping in mind what had happened yesterday and the people that lost their lives, the security threat that is there, don't you think that itself should be enough for them to postpone any sort of protest at all? I mean, do they have a clear priority? Are their priorities right at this time? I mean, that's what I think every ordinary citizen should be asking, no?
Of course, it's very important. I think so. Today, the Chief Minister of KP should be in Parachinar. I think so. We stand with those people. That was very important for him. But I think so. He is talking all a day about that we will go to Islamabad on 24th of November, and their MPAs are distributing the pamphlets all over in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, everywhere you can see them. I think so. This was not an ordinary incident in Parachinar. I think so. It's a huge one. I think so. More than 40 44 people lost their lives and more than 30 people seriously injured. And this is totally cut off, their district totally cut off from Peshawar and the other part of the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. Why? But Chief Minister Saab is totally silent on that. I think so. Today the Army Chief General Asim Saab was there in Peshawar. I think so that was a good step by him. I think so. But the Chief Minister Saab, the Governor, the Interior Minister, I think so, the Defence Minister, as well as the Prime Minister Saab was also should be there with those people to. I think so. It's
because we know,
important.
as far as Ali Amin Gandapur is concerned, we've seen him make statements like that he can bypass the Federation, go to Afghanistan himself, talk to them about peace and security. But in this instance, it's remarkable, like you said, that there's only silence.
They're totally silent, and actually the Information Minister of KP, Barrister Saif Saab, was trying to talk with the TTP and their people. They are trying for some jarga type that. I don't know why they are going for these type of things. I think so. This is the Federation. I think so. The federal government should decide that, or military should decide that we will talk to them or not. We will fight against them.
Of course,
I think so. Gandapur Saab shouldn't be decided that. He is the Chief Minister of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. He should run that. He should deliver to the people of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, especially the security matters or very unfortunate incident are going on in Banu.
But is he? But we know that he's actually in a Diyala jail. After a couple of days, he's always found there. So his concentration, is it in securing his own job, or is it in securing the lives and the security of those people that he represents, which is extremely important?
Of course, he is securing his job. I think so. He is not securing the lives of the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa people. Almost 3 crore people are living there, and especially the southern district are affected from the terrorism, especially in last 6 months. But I don't know that the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa government is not serious about this matter. I think so. If ever they have found a chance to talk with the federal government, they never talk about this type of incident in Parachinar, in Banu, in Daikhan, in Lucky Marwat. They're not talking about that. They're just talking about that please release the Imran Khan without any case from the Adiala jail, and we will go there and we will free him from jail. I don't know what they want and how their strategy. And I think so. They are the educated people in Pakistan Tehreek Insaf. Gandapur Saab is the Chief Minister. He know about that. That this is not a way that I will go for to the Adiala jail and I will release the Imran Khan. He know about it, but he is trying again and again for all these type of things.
Can I add something? Farouk Saab just mentioned about their negotiation with TLP. See, I personally feel that they're as fundamentalists. See, the problem with both that band outfit and this political party is the same. They're both fundamentalists. They don't believe in coexistence, and then they talk about Islam, whereas Islam preaches the whole beauty of Allah's creation is diversity. You, me, for example, we're all so different, yet we coexist in harmony, and our ways of life are different, our cultures are different. He comes from KPK, I come from Punjab, you come from, but yet we coexist. So this is something that as a policy matter to curtail terrorism, which is growing in Pakistan, especially which we're seeing in the neighborhoods, and also often we see instances of hate crime on religious contests which is happening. So the top tier leadership of all political parties, and especially the people in power, need to sit down and make a policy on this.
But we keep talking about dialogue. We keep talking about getting everyone on one page. But this one particular political party just doesn't believe in that kind of politics.
Absolutely, their whole agenda is my way or the highway. They're not. It's like I've said that they're as fundamentalist as TTP. The TTP wants to implement a certain kind of Sharia, which they believe is right, which is backed by no reason, no logic, is the exact same situation. Now, if they're going to get any relief, it's going to be from the courts. Now, the court has ordered, and the court has considered the foreign visit that we were discussing, and considering that they've not given them permission to assemble, whereas they claim that it's our constitutional right. See, constitution is subjected to interpretation by the courts. So if it's not what I or you think is right, it's what the court says. Now the court has said, and in the past they were given permission to protest. Even right now, if they follow the legal course of action,
yes,
like if you remember the Sanjani Jalsa, in that 2 terrorists were caught What if something like this happens? Who's responsible?
Exactly.
So
The writ of the state
the-
must prevail at all costs. Let me go to Muneeb. Muneeb, there is, we're talking about this particular belief that they believe they can get their leader, if they assemble, and they believe if they assemble in the right quantity, they can somehow get their founder to be freed. How logical is that, firstly, if you look at the legal framework at this time? If you look at the way that, things are structured, what is happening at this time, as a lawyer, what do you think they want to achieve? That the narrative itself is clearly faulty. Do you think that they want to cause enough disruption so that, there is some irreparable loss? Because we saw May 9th happen. And we also saw what happened after, and the fact that they walked away from it and they said that it wasn't them, and we saw all the theories that came out also.
I believe they are delusional when they say that they are going to get the PTI founder out of Adyara jail. And I'm using the word delusional because, 2 months ago almost, Ali Gandapur, the chief minister of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, had announced that within 14-15 days he was going to get the PTI founder out of jail. And if he didn't, then he would do this or he would do that. And he had promised that there would be anarchy and complete mayhem on the streets. But what happened? Absolutely nothing happened. The only thing that happened was that he got even more time to neglect the province which has been handed over to him in its 11th year. And what's going on in that province, what's going on in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, we've seen what happened yesterday in Near Parachina. At least 40 people have lost their lives, let alone those who have been injured. And people are paying the price with their lives. This is what happened when those who have been entrusted with looking after, with ensuring your well-being, are concerned only with their own well-being. And this is the problem with, the cult of personality kind of politics, that you are completely focused on just one person who is faced with some very serious allegations, and anybody in that person's position would have been behind bars right now until and unless they would not have gotten the all clear from the courts. So this is extremely unfortunate. And yes, while I do blame the provincial government sitting there, the CM in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, responsibility has to be taken by those at the center, by those in the province. But it's very, very, very damaging, this kind of politics, which PTI is particularly playing. I also have a lot of problems with the way that, there has been overall mismanagement in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. And that is all because the efforts are concentrated wholly and solely along party political lines. This is not how you show true sportsmanship. I think that it's very problematic. You've just referred to 9th May. Well, I think that it's very alarming that Bushra Bibi has mentioned that those who do not participate in the 24th November final call protests will not gain party election tickets. Because I remember the last time that this was promised, the likes of Ibad Farooq entered into the Corps Commander's house in Lahore and they caused mayhem, they caused anarchy. So are they trying to stage another 9th May? And who suffers in the end? It's the country which suffers as a whole. So that is what I mean to say, that there is no sportsmanship that they're showing. They are ready to negotiate with TTP, which has wreaked havoc on people, ordinary people in KP, but they are not ready to negotiate with other mainstream political parties. That just shows their contempt for parliamentary style of politics.
Right. Ali, from time to time, whenever there's a call of protest, whenever, there is, whenever the PTI starts to assemble and there's threat of violence, or, for them to close down the cities, for example, there's always talk of forming committees to talk to them. And yet, they're not successful. There are those that criticize the government for being unable to get the PTI to, sort of come to some kind of middle ground. How do you respond to that?
The government can only try, right? I mean, if somebody is not willing to talk and if they've just made up their mind, no matter what you do, you can't get them to talk. I mean, if you want to talk to them and you ask them what do you want in return, they don't, if they speak some sense, then it'll make sense. Now, they want everything to be packed and they want the government to go away and to make Imran Khan to be released and to be made the prime minister. Give back the mandate, finish the 26th amendment, which, by the way, they were part of till the end and they had no problem with. give back the mandate because Form 47, although majority of the seats in the National Assembly right now are of PTIs, but yet the other parties, wherever they won, it was Form 47 were fake, and wherever PTI won, which were majority of the seats, the Form 47 was fine. So they make no sense, right? And if you look at the past, all the protests they've done, put together, the senators, MNAs, MPAs, there's a good number of 300 individuals. How many of these people did you see at the protests? None. And that's why Bushra Bibi now has to threaten these people. And I think PTI was the one which used to say, Ji, Darbari culture, this Patwari culture, where you're ordered and do this, do that. It's not, PTI is not like that, and it's free thinking, and people are free to, they're not gulams and stuff. What are you trying to do here? You're blackmailing people, or you're trying to threaten them that you won't get the ticket. You have to come out, and who are you? I mean, who died and made you the queen of the world, right? Like, who gave you the authority of no party office? You have no...
There's also reports that the anti-terrorism court has sentenced some individuals to 6 years and above for the events of 9th May, and there are 4 Afghan nationals in those also. So that sort of, we know that the government has been saying for a while that there is an Afghan element in these protests.
Absolutely, I mean, who will be responsible if something is to happen? And I think that's exactly what they're looking for. They're looking for something to go, some bloodshed, something to play, because you see, they have nothing left. The politics, the narrative which they had come with, that there's 38% inflation, people are dying, there's no relief, etc. Now from 38, the inflation has come down to 9%. Interest rates have been cut, right? The stock exchange is booming.
Unfortunately, that's all the time that we have today. Thank you so much for being with us. Mohammed Ali Rashid, thank you for joining us. Muneeb Qadir, thank you for being with us today. Daniyal Sheikh, thank you for being with us. Fakhar Yousafzai, thank you for your time. Of course, it's extremely important that we look at the way that the narrative is being put forward by all political parties, and one particular political party, when we talk about the right to protest, the right to assemble, that with the kind of conspiracy theories that have been sprouted since the very beginning, whether we look at the cipher, whether we look at the allegations against one country, or we look at the allegations against other friendly countries now. The question that all those that support need to ask themselves is, does this really make sense? And when we look at assembling or protesting to free a certain individual, then where does the course of the law, what happens to the course of the law, and what happens to those cases that happened? And we also know that pursuant to the 9th May cases, what we've seen from those that have been convicted now. So all of that has to be seen together to be able to look at the complete picture here, and it doesn't seem to be very fetching in this regard. Thank you so much for joining us today on Perspective.